But eventually, something truly has to give. And as you witness more crumble around you, your safety should be your comfort. And that safety needs to come from the way that you have started to live authentically you. Hi, I'm Jodine Sher of Lifeology, a personal transformation coach, and I use astrology as a tool to help me understand you so that I can guide you to understand you better. And today we're going to talk about Pluto because there's a really big change coming. I always make notes, so I'm going to be checking them out at the same time while I talk you through it because some of the things are really profound in the way that I initially write first, and obviously a lot of research and my teaching and guidance goes into this that I get to share with you. You're either watching on YouTube or some video app, or you are connecting on podcast. So welcome any way that you are. Please, at any point, if you feel that this will help other people, share it along, because Pluto is going to be impacting us in a very interesting way over the next 2 years, and then over the next 20 years. There is a big shift in energy that is going to help us on so many different levels as individuals and as a collective. And it's also the opportunity for us to really be supportive and feel the energy exchange with the planet. So Pluto is an interesting one because it got downgraded to a dwarf planet. But even though that happened, it still makes very important impact when it comes to astrology and understanding ourselves. Pluto is the furthest planet all the way out, and it is the ruler of Scorpio. And it dwells deep in the shadows of the solar system, and that gives us the impression and what we can understand both of Scorpio and of Pluto. It represents our dark side. It represents the dark side of ourselves and all the way into mankind, and it also reminds us on what we need to focus on in order to get into the shadows so that we can come out on the other side happy and positive and evolved. It's the planet, the very planet of transformation, of endings, rebirth, and it's the planet of power. So over the last 20 years, we're going to compare how the planet of power in Capricorn is now moving into this energy of Aquarius and what it means for us personally. I believe that everyone in some way wants to transform, whether you call it transformation or not. There's an area in your life where you know that there are things that you want to do different, where you look and you go, I'm unhappy, or I feel unfulfilled, or I feel stuck. And Pluto is the planet that can guide you in so many ways, especially if you know where it sits in your birth chart. What do I mean by that? If you haven't worked with astrology before, is at the time of your birth, the exact moment of your birth. It's like a snapshot is taken in the sky, and those planets are frozen in time for as long as you are alive and tell the story of who you have the potential to be, who you are, what your traits are, because of where the planets were at your time of birth. So if we understand where Pluto was at your time of birth, then there's so much that we can understand about what transformation means to you. We can even pinpoint the area in your life where Pluto is calling for transformation to happen for you in this lifetime. Pluto is very misunderstood because death and rebirth are seen as something so fearful. However, if you look into nature as it is, then everything living must die, and there's consistent living and dying and transformation and change. Even the seasons guide us to a comfort of understanding that the cycles are important and the cycles are based on life and death and rebirthing. So for us to be able to embrace that process gives us the opportunity to truly work into the Pluto energy. So why does it help to know where the planets are at your time of birth? Like I said, there's this exact snapshot in the sky, and every single planet is sitting in what we call a house. If you know this about astrology, then bear with me, but I know that there's many people who may be exploring it for the first time, so I'm going to keep it as simple as possible and also as brief as possible because we want to get into Pluto. But our lives are divided into 12 different areas. There are 12 different zodiacs, and when you take the sky, you can almost like a pie divide it into the 12 segments, and every segment governs an area of our lives. So, for example, the third house in all of our charts shows us how we are going to communicate and how we are going to express ourselves. When I guide people, especially when I do charts for parents and talk to kids or talk to parents about kids, what I do is I explain that the every house is like a house on a street, and there's 12 houses in a circle, and the planet, there is a planet and a zodiac sign that built the house, right? So in the third house, Gemini is the zodiac that built the house, and Mercury is the zodiac that built the house with Gemini. So the structure of that is always there. But depending on where you're born, different planets can be in the houses and different zodiacs can be living in the houses. So for example, if you're born at a certain time and Taurus is in your third house, we say Gemini built the house alongside Mercury, but Taurus lives in the house, decorates it, gives it its energy. For example, if Mars is in there, Mars shifts it and gives it its vibrant energy within the house. So if you know that and understand that, then you can truly understand the different aspects and area of your life, the energies that are governing it, the zodiacs that are governing it, and what the planets are doing, as well as if there's no planets in a house. It tells us so much about how in that area of life you should have an ease and a flow. So how does this impact your desire or your fear to transform? If you understand where Pluto is in your birth chart, then you will be able to see that very part of your life that is calling for you to change and transform the most. So if you aren't sure where Pluto is, then please get hold of me. I do an incredible chart. What I do with the birth chart, which I haven't seen anyone else do, and I truly pride myself in being able to take astrology and combine it with transformation, is I take your birth chart and we look at how all of the aspects, your houses, the zodiacs, and the planets are different areas in which you can know yourself, understand yourself, and really get into personal growth over many, many years. So when you know where Pluto is, it can really be a guide to showing you where transformation can happen in your life. And why is Pluto so significant now? So if you are truly looking at a clear understanding as to where rebirthing and transformation needs to come from, and you know that there's places where you just want to get unstuck and you want to be fulfilled, and if you're aware that delving deep into the shadow self is so very important for transformation to happen, then Pluto is definitely your guide. Pluto is an extremely slow-moving planet, and it's been in Capricorn since November 2008. Now, this is what's interesting. It's going to move from Capricorn into Aquarius through the whole of 2023 and into 2024. The reason why that happens is because planets go into retrograde at different time. What is a retrograde? It's the illusion, because of the pace that everything is moving, that a planet is going backwards for a certain amount of time. And in that, when planets are in certain positions, they can move backwards and forwards between the zodiacs. Once again, if you know that Pluto was in retrograde at the time of your birth, it gives us, working together for your personal growth and understanding, such a different layer to understand what it means to have a planet in retrograde and have Pluto in retrograde when it's doing this movement. So this is how it's going to go. Pluto enters Aquarius on the 23rd of March 2023. Then it's going to retrograde back into Capricorn on the 11th of June. So we're going to have a taste between March and June of what Pluto is like in Aquarius. It's then going to return to Aquarius on the 21st of January 2024, and it's going to stay until the 1st of September. So we now in 2024 we get a much greater sense of what it's going to be like in that area, that energy. Then finally it leaves Capricorn on the 19th of November 2024, and it stays there until the 8th of March 2043, where it's then going to move into Pisces, and it's going to do the very same dance when it gets to Pisces. So the focus on Pluto, because it's such an outer planet, it impacts everyone. It's a collective energy, it's a generational energy, and it tells us what the whole collective is going to do, but it also gives us each individually the opportunity to say, how do I stand as an individual in the collective? A big part of transformation coaching is for you to understand that it is essential for you to transform into who you authentically are. And a lot of the reasons why people don't do that is because you are trying to stay in the collective. And the authenticity of who you are is going to make you unique in some way. And everyone wants to fit in. No one really wants to be the outcast, except what's interesting is Aquarius Pluto is going to make it more okay to be that individual and feel like that outcast, knowing that you will always have a place and you will always belong. So that's so important to understand, that as an individual, even though it's an outer planet, there's so much work for you to do personally with that energy. The collective impact of Pluto in Capricorn it really spotlighted politics and religion and structure and the commercial world and being controlled and money. Capricorn is all about structure, control, and power. So that link to Pluto and power over the last 20 years has really shown, we've seen it, what capitalism can do, what governments have the potential to do. And it's almost felt like there's been a regression in humanity when it's really coming to a peak, and it's feeling highlighted because that Aquarius energy is now starting to get us to see what we've done to each other, to the collective over these last 20 years. So the shadow of Pluto in Capricorn is about personal integrity. Whether everything that's been happening over the last years, you have managed to hold yourself within integrity, even though there may be so much corruption and mistrust around you. We really live amongst it all the time. The way that we get scammed and the way that we get manipulated in all these different ways is exactly what Capricorn Pluto is talking about. But it gives us the opportunity, especially while we have the retrograde back into Capricorn and get a taste of Aquarius, it really gives you the opportunity over the next 2 years to check in and understand your integrity. Are you holding on to your truth? Where do you stand in your own power? Whilst being surrounded by politics, religion, legalities, money, how are you standing as that unique individual? So before Pluto moves into that Aquarius energy, it really needs to allow you to stop and witness who you are in the chaos of the world. It's undeniable that there's chaos. It's also undeniable that there's more fear, anxiety, war, hatred, the destruction of the planet. And it's an indication to how unconscious most people are. And so much of it has been created during this Pluto in Capricorn time. And the planetary energy, it's not going to let us as a collective just stick in this energy until we really start to tell ourselves the truth. And that truth has to come out one individual at a time. One individual making a difference at a time is so important. And the way to do that is to focus on your shadow and the places where you have the courage to transform and you have the courage to stay within your own integrity no matter what the collective is doing. So once Pluto starts to move into Aquarius before it settles in 2024, the focus of your energy needs to shift to your role in being humanitarian and the changes that mankind can make for our own survival, our individual survival, and for the survival of the planet. It may sound very dramatic, but eventually something truly has to give. And as you witness more crumble around you, your safety should be your comfort. And that safety needs to come from the way that you have started to live authentically you, the way that you are conscious, the way that you live within integrity, the way that you have transformed yourself. This is the beauty of the energy of Aquarius now. And it totally changes the energy from super structured, focused, pragmatic to humanitarian and liberating and innovative. It's Aquarius governs technology. There's really going to be a shift in how we want to do something different, each and every one of us. And this is what's so important, is that even though Pluto is a big planet that governs us as a collective, it is saying when it moves into Aquarius, what you do it as an individual can make a difference. So personally, your relationships, your finances, your lifestyle choices, something will need to change along the way, and therefore it's really important to understand Pluto and know where it is personally for you. So in my blog, I share a transformation story and how Pluto really has been in action for me, and how I have used my understanding of my chart. And a lot of it is hindsight. It happened, and then I started to understand where Pluto is and all the different aspects. And one of the parts of my life that I want to share is that I have Pluto moving through Libra in the sixth house in my personal chart at the time when I was born. And this placement, it speaks directly to work. And I am so passionate about my work. I'm unafraid to dig into the depths of the shadow with others and to help people find balance and harmony in their lives. It's so important. As a transformation coach, Pluto transformation, it's exactly what I do. And I don't want to cause any disharmony around me. It's a very important part of who I am. So I spent so many years in this rigid Capricorn energy of Pluto, and I tried to fit into the corporate world. I tried to sit on boards and around boardroom tables. I really am a good strategist. I owned a social media company for a decade of the Pluto energy, but as much as I know that I'm good at it, it never tapped into my calling of this sixth house energy where I truly just want to help people transform. And interestingly, I can tell you that when I did the strategies, or when I was sitting around the boardroom table, one of my big frustrations was that I couldn't get people to understand why doing things differently or changing things within their strategy was so important, which still touches on transformation. Makes me feel a little bit better when I do acknowledge that. Now, the way Aquarius impacts me is super interesting because it's split between my 10th and my 11th houses. And in the 10th house, Jupiter was in Aquarius at the time of my birth, and Jupiter is the planet of expansion. And that absolutely makes it a guarantee, because I've been consciously working on myself for so many years. I was still in high school when I started to ask the question, who am I, and explore who I am. So because of Jupiter in this area of highest potential, it's no surprising that my career has changed so many times. I have moved through different industries, and my certainty is that I am an entrepreneur, because I need the freedom. And Aquarius in Jupiter is exactly that energy. It's the energy of freedom, and I need the freedom. And as long as I'm an entrepreneur, I truly am happy. However, I'm so far from the boardroom and from strategy now. And it's really all about me helping people. And that is the Aquarius humanitarian energy that is in the 11th house. The 11th house is about who is your world and who is your community and who is your circle. And my energy with that wants to know, how do I make impact? Um, there's so many stories that I can tell, and once you truly get into your astrology and understand what each of the energies is doing, it's so fascinating the way that you can first of all start to see what you unconsciously did to be connected to your energy, and then what you can start to consciously do. And Aquarius in my 11th house is truly now how I live in the world. um, all of my Capricorn structure is gone. I don't have a house, I don't have a car, I'm a nomad, I can work anywhere. I do my transformation coaching online. It's a beautiful sense of independence, and that's how I get to live. But I truly had to get into the shadow of who I was to be able to understand that. So now it's truly your turn to understand how Pluto impacts you in your life. So, for your personal growth, Aquarius energy is going to assist you in bravely stepping out of the collective and out of that way of thinking, and it's going to ask you and it's going to support you to thrive as an individual in this Pluto time when it is in Aquarius. So over the next 2 decades, you're going to see so much more detachment from what you no longer need, from what no longer serves you. And it might be seen as rebellion by some people, because we do know that not the whole of humanity is going to shift. There's always going to be this balance between who's conscious and who is unconscious. I mean, we all, definitely me as a transformation coach, hopes that eventually everyone shifts more into levels of consciousness. But there is a desire that more people will become conscious. But all you have to be concerned about, and all I have to be concerned about, is me and how I am conscious, and you and how you are conscious, and how you use this Pluto energy in this time of Aquarius, and then who I can help and impact. That's so important. By knowing where Pluto is in your chart and understanding that while the energy is an Aquarius, you are powerful enough to be that individual who can make a difference, even if it's one small thing at a time. So where Aquarius is in your chart, it's also going to guide you to understand where your impact is the strongest to support the well-being of yourself, of everyone who loves you, and to help you to find the freedom to transform into who you were born to be. It's going to be a very fascinating next 20 years, but one thing is, it's going to be an incredibly fascinating 2 years. And if you understand and know where Pluto is in your chart, like I do, which I am so grateful for. And one of the reasons why I became a nomad is because I understood the Pluto energy in my chart and what needed to end, and how I needed to transform myself into truly being who I authentically knew somewhere inside I wanted to be. So I am saying thank you, Pluto. And I am reaching out to you and saying, anywhere along your journey, if you want to understand yourself better, please get hold of me. Let's chat. I would love to explain to you how astrology is such a powerful tool to help you understand who you are and to guide you through this Pluto transition. So at any point in time, you can reach out to me. You can go onto the website lifeology.biz. There is a 30-minute complimentary consultation where we just spend 30 minutes together talking about anything. Or we can go into the transformation coaching. You can get hold of me and you can ask me to create your birth chart. And something that is very Aquarius and Pluto combined is, because Pluto has so much to do with money and power, and we at Lifeology understand the kind of pressure money can put on people, and we also understand that the people who need to do this work very often are the people who don't have the money to do it. So we have a pay what you feel option on the website. So everything from the astrology chart to the transformation coaching to anything that we do, you can pay what you feel. I also do have a part 1 and a part 2 of the course called Money and Me that guides you to understanding a healthier, more intimate relationship with money. But I will definitely talk more about that. Today is about encouraging you to understand where your Pluto is and embrace. I need to do more research. I was terrible at science, and I'm actually going to do another post. I have to do another post talking about everything that makes up the sky, chemically makes up the sky, and chemically makes up us. It's the same. It's the same. So we are the same, and we are so beautifully interconnected. We are stardust, and these energies are supportive, and they can be an incredible guide in the understanding of who you are. Okay, and with that, look after yourselves.